Make sure like one of my bottles.
Oh no.
Nope, you're good.
Hi. So just to get right into it, this one, Losers is an obscure thing, and most people are going to be used to it from the Chris Evans movie. So what was it like to bring these characters in to an animated short from this way?
Yeah, it's funny. I really don't know much about the sort of revamped version of the Losers that you were talking about. I mean, this was kind of a chance for us, and this is what the showcase shorts really are: is an opportunity to get to play in a sandbox that we might not normally get to play in when we're seeing DC characters, legacy characters on screen. I don't know that Warner Brothers was, had the gears really in motion to put a 1940s war movie, animated Losers movie into production, but the showcase shorts give us a chance to do that. So because it's such a iconic brand, even if it's not as relevant today as maybe it was back, when my dad was reading comics, it has stood the test of time. These are huge characters in DC canon, and this is an opportunity for us to sort of reintroduce them, to let everyone know that DC is not just made up of the big names that we see on screen today, but there's been a lot of characters that came before them who helped build this universe.
It's not just the Justice League. So there are other people outside of Justice League
Yeah.
that are a part of DC.
Yeah, but there's great similarities though.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the Justice League when it's at its finest. It's a family. It's a group of comrades together, comrades in arms. World's finest. I mean, that is at its core what you expect when you go see a war movie, for instance. And when you're talking about a group like the Losers, who was a ragtag group of guys who came together.
And who
really
really
only
love a ragtag band? I mean, come on.
Ragtag. We only had each other. So
All about ragtag band.
is ragtag a musical style?
It's Scott Joplin, actually.
So my introduction to, I only tangentially know about the Losers through Darwin Cook's New Frontier, because they were in the first issue and they get killed off. And of course that has Dinosaur Island in it. So I'm really curious, the story for this, does that kind of inspire, did Darwin Cook's New Frontier inspire the story for this?
I mean, short answer, yes, a bit, because, look, when we started talking about, the fact that these are characters that aren't as well known in the DC canon right now, and the fact that we weren't sure if, maybe a straight up war movie was really what was going to be able to sell the excitement about who these characters are. In terms of the sensibilities of the modern audience, we looked at it as kind of a mashup of genres where we see sci-fi genres here, we see which we often saw in the old war comics too. But and there's a spy intrigue story going on as well. And then at its core, you have these characters who are brothers in arms, who are family, who have these very strong relationships. So that was kind of what helped inspire it. All that legacy stuff that came before, and yes, we knew going into this that the Losers do have an association with Dinosaur Island in the fan.
Yeah, there is precedent here.
There is precedent here, so it's not necessarily something people will reject right out the gate. It sounds a little nutty when you first hear it, but if you actually know something about the comics that you do, then we've seen this kind of thing before. I don't know if that had. I mean, when you saw the concept and the script and the premise for this, did that seem jarring to you at all?
No, I loved it. I loved it actually because it's again I wasn't super familiar. I mean, I was aware of the Losers, but it wasn't one of the ones that I had read because I'm a lifelong comic book guy. So it was one that I was aware of. I was definitely a big Sergeant Rock fan as a kid. Everything in Sergeant Rock, Hunt a Tank, all that stuff. Loved Sergeant Fury. To go to the other guy. But just the fact that I was aware of it, it's like, oh, this is so cool. They're bringing this back and get to do something. And yeah, when I read through, it was like, okay, I love this. This is really cool. Although I'm feeling like I stumbled into a niche with this thing because so everybody knows that Dinosaur Island's involved with. So in this, I play a battle-hardened, combat veteran soldier and a younger soldier, and they're fighting dinosaurs. But then I was recurring on the last season of Camp Cretaceous, where I played a battle-hardened, combat-scarred mercenary and a younger mercenary fighting dinosaurs. So I'm like, that seems to be kind of my niche now. I'm like the guys that fight dinosaurs. So it's like, if you have a fighting dinosaur movie, call
There
me.
you go, dear.
Elaine.
Apparently. Wait. Who's Elaine?
And
That's why he writes things.
and to what you were talking about, with Sergeant Rock, he's one of those characters that, I'm comics 80s and beyond, but I know the name through osmosis from other fans.
Oh,
and
sure.
this character doesn't have this catalog for you to look back on and see what other people have done before me.
Well, and that's the thing with this. So obviously I didn't have it's an advantage in a lot of ways, because now if you want to take over, because I've taken over other characters that have been played. I'm the current voice of Knuckles. I've done I played Clayface. I actually played the Joker once in the arcade game. We played Dave and Buster's. So it's always interesting.
That's the coolest thing. I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't? Yeah. So it's interesting trying to do justice to the character and also to someone else's performance. And it's a tricky thing, because you want to keep the fans happy, because I'm a fan. So we want to respect everybody's take on it, but also bring whatever we bring to it, and respect that the writers, if they found something different, and gives you a reason to keep watching something if it's well-worn territory. So in a case like this, there were no performances to look back on for Sarge or Gunner, except for sort of the archetypical characters. The way that they're presented, the way they wrote them, made them pretty easy to find. And drawing from sort of a lot of those, the images with Sarge, you've got, the tough veteran soldier, the non-com who knows everything, who's in charge of stuff, and he's got it together, but it's all about his men, it's all about getting them home alive if he can, complete the mission. And then, Gunner, obviously, he's kind of the younger, he's kind of cracking a joke here and there and trying to find the humor and things that sort of gallows humor that soldiers will have, because you're surrounded by insanity and inhumanity and awfulness, and finding a way to still laugh about it and not go crazy. So, and they did such a good job with giving me that stuff to work with. So again, it was right there on the page. So
I was thinking of them. Remember the Tom and Jerry? Was it Tom and Jerry cartoons when they had the Spike? Was it Spike?
Spike, the bulldog. Yeah.
And he had the little dog. Used to call him. Yeah, right. And to me, that was when I first went into it, I'm like, what's that dynamic like for these soldiers?
I'm trying to think, was that in the spec for the audition? Because it might have been something about.
They might have put that in.
I don't remember now, but because it sounds familiar enough. I'm like, is that in there?
That's such a clear. I love cartoons, because that, like something like Tom and Jerry, like somebody has a very clear.
I've done that too.
Yeah, well,
the new Tom and Jerry, I did a few of them.
it's very clear archetypes. You just understand exactly who those two
Well,
dogs
that's the
are.
thing. Because that's the thing too. As with cartoons, comics, that all of us, we have a shared vocabulary. We understand what these things represent archetypically, or what the history is. So we're able to converse with one another using those images. It's the Darmok moment, which I love the fact that I can make that reference here, and I know everybody knows what I'm talking about. But that's one of the great things, is that we're able to look at those archetypes and say, the way this makes you feel, and the way this made you feel, and kind of the impact of that, and how that's perceived, and be able to kind of fuse those together and say, take all of those elements and put it in here, so that there's something
do it in like
identifiable.
12 minutes.
Yeah. And go.
That is a little bit what it's like. It's sort of, but that's kind of the same way with the 80-minute movies as well.
Because cramming 75 years into 80 minutes. Yeah.
I mean, like,
How do you? Yeah. What do you leave out? What do you put in?
I
Do you cut Tom Bombadil? That's the question. Okay, you have to. We love him, but the film's great without him. He's got to go.
I mean, when I did Superman, Man of Tomorrow, and then the Long Halloween adaptations, and those, you got to make a lot of decisions on how to sort of adapt it in a way that is still the thing you want. And that's when I was doing Long Halloween, I said, listen, I can't do this in one 75-minute movie. You got to give me two, and thankfully they did. But The Losers You know, it's like, here, you got to do it. And it's got to be in like 15 pages. You know, we got to do this.
It's sort of like, all right, let's turn to the channel, understand what's going on. Okay, now I gotta go. And they're like, okay.
But the thing is, these are like love letters to fans.
Oh, for
because
sure.
You're not necessarily going to get the 80-minute movie right away. You know, but if enough people see the short, enough people really love
maybe we
and
can.
ask for it, then the guys upstairs listen, and they're like, okay, there's a market for this. Let's do it.
And I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Go for it.
And to that, and doing this in such a short amount of time, the ending really, when they go into with the bombs, it's very definitive.
Spoilers.
Sorry, it's very definitive. Do you have any kind of thoughts on how you would continue that if you got the chance?
Yeah, I would just say it may not be as definitive as you might think.
2-minute warning.
And for me, I would just say whatever he writes.
Whatever he writes.
Okay, that sounds good.
There's reasons for everything. I want to make sure everybody gets a chance.
No, I'm good. I'm doing this.
I'm more support.
She's moral support.
I want to bring up, it's funny, I watched it recently, the first copies, the first time since last year, you know, and I didn't dawn on me how similar it is to Suicide Squad film, the James Gunn film, but you have Van Long as kind of like a peacemaker-like figure, you know, or, you know, he's all about country, and so I'm curious, like, it's probably, you obviously had nothing to do with the film, so it's kind of this weird coincidence, I'm curious.
Well, no, I mean, the truth is that James Gunn stole that whole thing. No, I'm just kidding. It's well known. No, of course.
So I'm just curious how, like, what was in your mind making the film? If you were just the times what we're living in right now, or kind of what was your thought process?
I think if, you know, for me, kind of like where I was, I think really mostly in my life at the time, I was thinking a lot about family and camaraderie and thinking about dinosaurs. My family, there's a lot of dinosaurs.
That's true.
No, but I was thinking about the great moments of triumph and victory that come out of our greatest moments of loss, you know, and who better to, you know, put that on display than the losers, the ultimate, you know, losers. That's kind of where I was at the time, and I think that's where we kind of all landed on how to approach it. And that triumph, that great triumph that comes out.
And just to say, before I get asked to take you, I really enjoyed this one. It was like looking at Joe Kubert's stuff, like just right out of it.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Well, I mean, you know, I wish I could take credit for it.
No, I know.
My God, they're so good. Where's Rick Morales? Let's talk to Rick Morales.
Was that Hubert?
Well,
Joe Hubert?
yeah.
Okay, I gotta put that in my notes.
Every day.
Any take them?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Good to see you.
See you.
Yeah. So glad to get it out. Thank you.